You're listening to the Berks Weekly Podcast. My name is Jason Hugg, and today my guest is Gavin Milligan. Today we're talking with Gavin about a few of the initiatives he's been doing about family business, and because believe it or not, he's in high school.
Right? I am a junior.
Well, off now because of everything. But
yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm 11th grade. I go to Fleetwood Area High School. I also go to BCTC, Berks Career and Technology Center. I study business management and entrepreneurship. And also, now that we're on the line of education, I also do dual enrollment through RACC, getting some credits for my business management degree. So hopefully, by the time I graduate, things are subject to change at this point. I don't know what's going on, but
that's true.
I should have just about half of my associates by the time I graduate high school.
Cool. Yeah. And I was just going to say, there's a good reason why he's here today, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Is that he's doing a lot of cool things. He can add value to a lot of people out there, students out there as well. He's highly motivated. We've actually had him. I guess it was an article in Reading Magazine a few years back, right?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. So
freshman year.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was actually just going on 2 years now.
Yeah, and you've been doing a whole bunch of cool stuff even since then too.
Yep.
So, and that's why I figured we'd bring him in. We talked to him a little bit. But for those people who didn't see that article and want to learn more about you, just kind of tell people the beginning, where things are going, and just give them a little of the backstory of who you are.
Okay. So in 2015, I'm going to go way back here. This is when everything started, when the first idea of going into business started. In 2015, my dad had already had a business for going on 10 years now, but I kind of thought to myself that I might want to start something of my own. At the time, I was 12 years old, so really in my mind it was I wanted to be a famous YouTuber, and I wanted to have a huge YouTube
Don't
channel.
We all?
Yeah, and really what it turned into is saved all my Christmas money, got all this camera equipment, and then once I got it, I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I'm going to work 5 years, 6 years to hopefully make it big. So then, right around that time, my dad came to me and said, hey, you have the equipment. How about you maybe make some videos for us to post on Facebook? And then eventually, after a couple weeks, that translated to, what you're doing on social media, going to social media. So at that point, I became the social media manager, and eventually I learned a lot about social media, but also at the time I had a video production agency called Glocky Productions, where really it was kind of my introduction into the business world in Berks County.
Okay. Before we kind of go, I'll stop you a little bit there.
Okay.
And first tell everyone what your dad does and what the family business is, so they kind of get a reference of.
Right. So yeah, he does heating and air conditioning. It's called Advanced Comfort Specialists. So we do residential, commercial, install, service. We do anything from putting tiny units in the ceiling to huge cooling towers that are tens of thousands of dollars. So we kind of do it all in terms of heating and air conditioning. But he's been doing that since 2004. So it's going on 16 years now.
So tell me a little bit about your role and early on how you obviously, because family businesses, I come from a lot of my families about businesses and stuff like that. My dad, my grandfather. So it is kind of more of an organic thing. You're just kind of into it.
Yeah.
Anyone who has a family business or family members, and they always ask to help out and things like that. It's just or you're very interested in it too. So tell me a little bit about how you got into it, and then what extra kind of steps did you take to get into the family business?
Yeah. So really, it started as me being social media manager. Learned Facebook here and there, learned Instagram, learned Twitter, kind of learned the in and outs and the fundamentals of social media and social media marketing.
And you don't just mean like using it, but actually learning and going on.
And honestly, with the age I am, with the year we're in, YouTube and online platforms really served as a huge resource for me to learn everything. If I had trouble with something, I'd look it up on YouTube, look it up on Google, and there
That's
it
what
was.
Freddie said yesterday.
And it's
Yeah,
a huge resource. It's a huge tool, and I think I definitely wouldn't be here without that. I would need years and years of college and experience to, in my opinion, have the foundation that I have now. But using those things and having experience with my dad's business, eventually in 2017, I believe in August, we kind of made the decision that I was going to transition into a more general role in marketing. And at that point, I became the marketing manager, the marketing and promotions manager more specifically. And with that, I've gone a lot general. More specifically,
So what did they have you do?
It really started
marketing?
out really of the same thing that I was doing before.
Okay.
It's just exposing me to more things here and there. It didn't really get really intense until about maybe August of 2019.
Okay.
We decided to make TV commercials, produce TV commercials. So we went through a local videographer who was like the best videographer I've ever seen. I've seen him years before, and I said, if he ever lets me do a TV commercial, this is who I'm going to. And luckily, my dad came to me and said, hey, maybe we do one or two TV commercials, or at least videos to put online that are professionally done. So we've produced two very different TV commercials, and if you look up Advanced Comfort Specialists on YouTube, you can check those out. And
you were kind of the leading role behind what they were,
Yeah,
how they were filmed, what they were doing, and you really collaborated.
I was the head honcho. I was the one saying, let's do it this way. Now, obviously, with direction from what my dad wanted and what the vice president wanted, but when it came to actually meeting with the actors and meeting with the director and the producer.
Yes, because this wasn't just some small little thing. I mean, you did actually have actors. You did.
Yeah, it was.
It took up a lot. I've seen, I think, one of the commercials at least. Yeah.
It was thousands of dollars, so it wasn't like a little tiny thing that we did. It was something serious, and I think not a lot of people expect that when I say, "Oh, we did a TV commercial." We think
as multiple locations too, right?
Yeah. It was expensive.
It's a lot of work. Sounds like too.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of pre-production. Getting everything set up.
And that's not. I mean, obviously you had a little bit of experience in trying to produce something, but that's obviously something new on a different level for you.
Previously I kind of went into videography and photography. Not very much. It was sort of more of a way for me to introduce myself into the business community, because I had saved my money to get all this camera equipment and this editing software, but I didn't have anything. It was at this point a waste of money. So then I decided, let me go into filming videos and taking pictures. I've done some real estate photography and videography.
Okay.
But to get back on track here, so yeah, I did kind of have an idea on a very, very basic, small scale of what to do, which is kind of.
But really pushed you into what it takes to kind of work on that level, what things are needed in a commercial.
Yes, and it really helped, and I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but doing a name drop here, David Hall, I'm sure you know who David Hall
name
is.
drop.
Obviously all positive things to say.
Yeah, I've met him. He does very good work. Yeah,
amazing guy, and I think just the fact that I had that little foundation, me and him were able to get this really great relationship where he knew what I was trying to achieve. I knew how he had to do it, and basic sense.
So what kind of things did you learn from him?
Really the nitty gritty of renting locations, hiring these actors, and even just on production that it takes a lot of attention to detail. That you wouldn't really, especially as on the business side, as his client, you think, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, and that's what most business owners would say. But now that I worked with him, me and him kind of agreed that we need to take that extra step to make it as great as possible. And I think that was the main thing I learned.
What's one of the things that you really had to kind of step up and do something different?
Taking 20 takes of something if we had to. But a big thing was lighting.
But you got it right.
No, we got it right.
That's I mean that's the whole process of doing so many
Yeah.
takes is you're getting what you need versus just kind of saying, all right, we got something and let's move on.
Yeah, yeah, and the big thing about it was the lighting. He was, I remember the first time we shot, he had lights in places that I didn't even know existed, so he could get the
there's a lot of lights
shot.
out there.
And he had lights in the ceiling and the rafters, and he pulled out equipment that I've never seen in my life. And not only that, but he pulled out a huge crane that was 10 feet long.
I noticed there was a crane shot in there.
Yeah, 10 feet long for just 3 feet of movement. But it made that shot so much better. And those were the things that I picked up on that, it may take $400 in a piece of equipment to take it to the next step. Something that if you think, oh my God, it's only 2 seconds of footage, why would I spend that much money for that, little piece of footage? But it takes it to the next step. And obviously, especially, producing commercials, we live in an expensive world. And if you want to create something great, it's going to take money and it's going to take time and it's going to take effort.
Well, it seems like a little slice from, what it takes to make a real movie and a Hollywood movie, things like that. A lot of people don't see that other end of, either buying a crane or, the different lighting how much of that really is involved in the back end to get such small amounts of footage. And it seems like that's basically what you're exposed to, which was how much back end work there is for something so small.
Oh, yeah.
And even for work that I've done, a lot of people sometimes don't really realize that there is a lot that goes in to just a small little final product. So that's really cool.
Yeah. No,
so how did you branch that into what you're doing with it's called the Young
Business in Berks.
Young Business in Berks.
Yes, yeah. I like to stress YBB because it's a mouthful.
Where did this concept come from?
It came it was actually last year, right at this time. I'm going on a year now. That I was sort of like, I want to get myself into the community. I have this weird relationship and this weird connection that when I'm in school and when I'm in high school, I'm a typical high school kid. I goof off, I have fun. I get yelled at by the teachers. But then when I come home and I start, working, I flip a switch. I go into business mode. So I think I have a really unique relationship because I know what it is to be in high school and I know what it is to be in business. And I kind of wanted to build on that and really let it be a way to show that people my age, especially people growing up in a family business who have been given great opportunities, that we're privileged, but just because we're privileged doesn't mean that we can't take that step and go even farther. So I really wanted to take, at the time I was, years in business. Obviously I'm not going to say I'm a business guru in any sense. I wish I knew everything I was doing.
Yeah, you're still learning.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I think I'd like to say that I know more than the average high schooler of how business runs.
Well, and that comes from being in the family business and seeing it operate every day. Or you see a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And more specifically, that being in business, it really helped me get. It helped me figure out that Reading and Berks County needed to be revitalized, needed a change, and change is happening rapidly from when I started in 2015 to now. A much better city, much more focused on culture and much more focused on art, and we're slowly getting there to the point that we'll be a thriving city as we once were.
So how do you, not to kind of sidestep, but how do you get to that conclusion? Being in high school and everything, because I would imagine that's not every high schooler's thing is to look at the community and say we can revitalize this, there's other things to do here, and kind of pull everyone up that way. That's so when I first started, and I'm actually going to go even farther back than I did before. There is a gentleman, his name's Chuck Holder, name dropping again because he's a great guy. He
he was a plumber when my dad was in high school, and he actually owned. He sponsored my dad's baseball team. I think it was like the White Sox or something. I don't know. It was some league in Reading, some team in Reading, and my dad didn't really know what he wanted to do when he grew up. He had a couple plans. Wanted to be a Navy SEAL, wanted to do this, wanted to do that, but when it really got down to having a daily job, he didn't know what he was doing. So Chuck was a plumber at the time, and he had a great relationship with my dad. Drove him back and forth to practice when he didn't have rides, and then eventually took him under his wing in the plumbing industry. So then through that, it eventually Chuck went into the limousine business. My dad went into heating and air conditioning, and now after all those years of them knowing each other, Chuck is now a business consultant. And, so he was helping my dad here and there, and I was sitting in on some of those meetings, and through that I kind of introduced myself to him, and he said, "Hey, I'll help you out too." So it's really interesting because he was not only my dad's mentor, but at this point he was my mentor too. So then he introduced me to his group that he runs that works to revitalize the city of Reading. It's called Entrepreneurs Connection, and really their goal was to revitalize Reading. So my first introduction to the business community, other than the family business, was revitalize Reading, help Berks County, help Reading, and that's sort of how it's gone along. And I know when we talked about my article the first time, we talked about how the classroom and business, I could connect those two together, but now I've been able to connect the community and business together, and the political climate and the economical climate and how it changes the community, which is I think I have a better awareness than a lot of people now. Obviously, under the advice of amazing people in the community, influential people.
I was going to say, so you've set this up as a nonprofit. Is that what you said to me earlier?
Yes, I set it up as a nonprofit. Still very early in the stages.
What was that decision? Not that it's a big decision, but why a nonprofit? And why is that something you wanted to kind of start?
So we were going back and forth in terms of what exactly we wanted to do, in terms of did we want to, and in terms of I do have a couple advisors, some managers, some owners, some entrepreneurs, some politicians, people in the community that understand what's going on and are there to change as well. And it was kind of, we went back and forth, and it was kind of, we were contemplating either making it a nonprofit, a 501c3, or making it a for-profit and having a fiscal sponsor, which basically means that all of our donations and funding on a nonprofit level would have to funnel through another nonprofit, and they take a percentage. And really the only reason that was because there's a lot of guidelines and bylaws that you need to have a 501c3 that was either going to take me a lot of time or cost me a lot of money. And really I came to the conclusion that I'm going to do what I have to do. The reason I became a nonprofit and a 501c3, which I'm still in the process of getting that established, is because I don't want people to think that I'm in it for the money. And it's not that I necessarily care what other people think, but
I know.
In terms of that level, but
that it's really for the community.
Exactly, it's not for my personal benefit. Now, obviously, one of the reasons I'm doing it is so that I kind of get myself involved in the community, have some influential people that I'm working with know who I am, and consider me a resource to them, and consider and hope that they can be a resource to me, but really it was because it was for the community, and it was it's also a project that I'm not necessarily looking for any money. I'm not looking at this point. I'm not really looking to scale it that far either.
So what does what does Young Business in Berks do specifically? What is the end goal for everything? I know you're kind of building things up, and it's not quite there yet. But what's kind of the vision of what that looks like to help young people in business.
Really,
Berks County.
what it is I want to connect with people in high school, possibly college, possibly middle school. I really want to expose them and introduce them to the world of Reading, Pennsylvania, and Berks County, and really what the community is, what the business in the area is, and
Like different businesses and how they operate, or
it's just everything in general, honestly.
Okay.
I really want to talk about, certain statistics and things that are changing, things that can change, because when people are thinking, and these students are thinking what they want to do when they grow up, they think money, they think their job, they don't think of what they can do on the side. They don't think of how they can help. So really, I want to...
they may not be thinking of the community, what they can do here,
Yes.
what other people are already doing here,
Yes.
too, to connect them with that.
And there's also a big thing that, I talk to my friends about this, too, and they're, they want to move out of state. Out of high school, go to out-of-state college, and right from there, be out of state. They want to leave Reading. There's a lot of people who say, I hate my school, I hate this community, I want to leave, and it's just simply because they might not like the education system. They might not like going to school every day. And they've sort of created this... they've become enemies of the system when you don't really need to be an enemy. I'm not going to say,
So young business in Berks is really, from what it sounds like, is kind of more the other side of that, is kind of showing people that that there is other things to do in this community, not like events or things, but business-wise, things you can do here to kind of...
Yes.
Is that...
Yeah, so really what the first introduction is, I'm going to, introduce them to these things, and then eventually I want to build a brand on social media as young business in Berks, and I want to create a system where if people want to learn about the community and get involved, and even in a business sense, I'm just another resource to do so. So, even yourself, you have events to help bring the community together. I want to do that as well. But really... My main thing is that I want to teach students about the past, present, and future of business in Reading, and how it affects them, and how it affects their community, and how it can be a lot better if they did a tiny little thing, if they contributed just the smallest amount. So, it's obviously still very early in the stage.
Oh, yeah, right. I know I'm throwing out all these questions of what the vision is, what you're doing here. And I realize that none of this is specifically planned, and this is a very early on stage of it too.
Yeah.
But it's all going in a good direction. So
no, absolutely, and
yeah.
We just recently launched our Facebook page of to kind of help people see the progress of how the nonprofit will move on, because I think it's going to be interesting for people to see, and even students as well. They can see it go from nothing to something. And there are a lot of people in my school that don't exactly know what I do. I try to keep it separate that way, because if they see me goofing off in class, they're like, what, why is he doing this? He does this, that, and the other thing out of school. I kind of like to live a different life in school and still enjoy my high school years while I can. So it's funny because they find these things out little by little. I'll fix a teacher's air conditioning, and they're like, wait, what? And then I have to go through the spiel and talk about it. So really, I'm on both sides of things.
Because you're still out doing things like that too for the family business as well.
Yeah, I'm still the marketing manager.
Right.
And especially, these next 2 weeks with everything going on, I'm in the field too. I'm doing installs, and I'm helping out, working my butt off 8-9 hours a day to make sure that, everyone's taken care of, especially, our tagline is, we can't sleep at night until you can. Everyone's freaking out right now. And we kind of want to be the light to the dark tunnel. So that's really the connection that we have. I'm going way back here. The connection. I had a thought, and then I decided not to say it, and now I'm all over the place. So with the experience I have in business, the experience I have in high school, and the experience I have in just the business world in general, and not only that, but the relationships I've built, I notice that there's a bridge and that there's connections that need to be made, and I want to, bridge that gap and, break that down and bring people together. I don't want to bring politics into this, but people are saying left versus right, this versus that, when really it doesn't need to be partisan at all. It can be, businesses, individuals collaborate, helps the community. And, I think that's kind of the main reason I'm doing it. I want to bridge that gap, and I want to just bring people together, really. Yeah.
Well, it seems like even in the beginning of the interview, talking about, being a YouTuber and, and a lot of that synonymous being with an influencer. Yeah. Honestly, it kind of seems like that's kind of the direction you're going, not in the sense of, like nationally everyone knows who you are, but in the local sense of giving people within your same age bracket an area to go down. It's something different to think about other than, on the phone or doing something else. And really kind of being more involved in the community that way. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah. And, that's really kind of like the main thing, that if I wasn't doing all of these things, then I would probably just be sitting in my room playing video games all the time. Which, don't get me wrong, I play video games here and there. I still get it 100% with, the time that I have. But really, what it comes down to is that I've sat in there and realized, growing up in the family business, I could be doing more. And also growing up in, with Chuck and his group, and realizing that change needs to be made in Reading, I can be part of that change. So this is really just me doing my part and doing what I can. And, also introducing myself to different aspects of things, the nitty-gritty of starting a nonprofit. I know it's hard. I know it's not going to be easy at all, but I'm excited. I'm motivated. I'm ready to take it on.
I don't think there's a lot of, kids your age really putting together nonprofits. That's probably not something anyone else in your class is doing.
And, I don't really talk about that either. I talk about it with my teachers and whatnot, because they kind of have an understanding of what's going on. But I'm like, they'll call me and they're like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" My friends will call me like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" I'm like, "Sorry, I have paperwork to fill out. I have a podcast to go to. It's like, like what?" Which is interesting. Which me doing my part is bridging that gap. Like I said, that's the biggest thing I'm stressing. That's the reason I started all of this. I met with a local politician, and it was actually, I was surprised that he got me in a meeting with him. And it was great, and we had a very productive conversation of exactly what I could do as an individual in my situation, and this is sort of the direction that we started going. Now, in the future of Young Business in Berks, I think we finally came to the conclusion that what we're going to do is try and come up with a curriculum, meet with districts, and individualize it with each district and with each grade. We're kind of trying to figure out what grade we want to implement this, that. The other thing, we also have to meet. I have to meet with all the districts and make a decision. Can they do this? Can I do this for them? And then I kind of want to maybe do 2-3 week course with them, that in place of reading a book in English class, they read my book. So I'm working on a book right now.
And a book.
Yes. Well, okay.
So nonprofit, video marketing, and now a book.
Yes. So it's a very slow process. I don't plan on launching any sort of curriculum or anything big until out of high school, at least.
So it's in the planning stages, and it's kind of a concept of ideas together then.
Well, yes, and the thing is that I'm going to need a lot of help from the community, and a lot of help from local businesses and
there you
politicians.
Go. People out here. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
But I need a lot of advice and advisors, and I'm really right now the stage that I'm in is I'm getting together an advisory board of I'm hoping up to 10 people, and then even further than that, I want to break down into committees of even more people, of super small business owners that just have a little mom and pop shop on the street, and really break it down in terms of how are we going to do this, how are we going to do this as a community. Now obviously I want to make it a 501c3 first before I really bring a dozen people in here to.
I was gonna say, this sounds like a lot of time. Too.
A lot of time for me, a lot of time for them.
Because you also said you're working at the family business, a lot. You have school.
Well, and the thing is that thankfully I'm able to pick up on things quickly. I'm able to work quickly as well. So if someone's like, hey, you need to quick send this email, and it's 3-paragraph email, I can pump it out in 5 minutes. So when I am working, it's very quick. It's very I get things done. Once I get to working, I'm work until I'm like, okay, it's 9:00.
Yeah,
relax. And honestly, I really haven't had a day like that in a while. It's sort of I've gotten so probably in about 2017 was when I figured this out, that I put way too much on myself. I thought I could do too many things that I really didn't have the time to do.
I was gonna say, I could just rewind this whole podcast and I could have told you that.
Now I continue to put things on myself, and I think it's like every year I get to this point where I get super overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, backtrack, take it slow, relax. Do one step at a time. And I also want to live my life. I think that's a big thing. The main thing that got me overwhelmed was that if I work 13, 14, 15, 16 hours a day, I don't have the chance to live my life. I don't have the chance to have a girlfriend and have a relationship and have the time to
It's a lot of pressures you're putting.
It's exactly. So and really I am in a relationship now, and it's it's a high school relationship, but it's really to the point that I'm kind of committing myself more to that.
Different priorities in your life.
Exactly, different priorities, and the main reasons is that I want to live a life. If I'm attracted to a girl and we connect, I'm not just gonna be like money, business, community. Like, no, I want to live a life. I want to be a human being, and I want to experience what a teenager wants to experience, and having fun with their friends, and having a girlfriend,
playing video games,
and so I've finally gotten to the point that I'm starting to, after backtracking a couple things and realizing that I can't do as much as I'm doing right now.
Oh, I mean, everyone has that too.
No, absolutely.
But there's so many things going on in your life. There's, you got to take a step back sometimes and kind of look at what you're doing. Is that working? How you want to redo things? Yeah. So one of the final things I guess I kind of want to ask you, but it's not really for me. It's for people watching. Would be not really sure if we have a huge demographic of high school age, that kind of thing. But what's one thing that you would tell someone as your age right now that would help them, either young business in Berks, or just some advice on how they can build up, either do something better in the community, or just kind of get out there more, be more motivated to really pull themselves up and to do something different?
Well, especially in my age range right now as a junior in high school, I like to think freshman and sophomore year is kind of when you get to mess around in high school, and then junior year becomes really quick. That's when you start your life. That's when you decide what you want to do, how you want to do it, why you want to do it. So, really my main demographic is sophomores and juniors, because they're either in this state right now or they're about to be in this state. I just want them to look at the community and get involved, because when you get involved, because if you might not have a passion for it now like I do, but when you get involved, you get that passion for it. Exactly. So which is exactly why I want to get this started, is because I want to expose this to them, and I want them to feel like, I can do something and I'm not doing anything. So I really just want people to get involved. Going to the food bank, one of the first volunteer opportunities I did was I was actually a cameraman at BCTV.
Oh, okay.
I think it was twice a week I went in and I just filmed the show. And it really helped me, just hearing them talk, watching the shows. It really helped develop my passion more and more. And a lot of people don't know what their passion is yet. They don't know their why. They don't know their what they want to do. But really just get involved, do different things, whether it's in the community, whether it's on your own, whether it's paid, whether it's volunteer. Try a little something, do a little something different. If it's not the norm for you, for your school, for your friend group, if you think your friend group's going to judge you, who cares? You're going to graduate high school in 2 years and you might not see them ever again. And which is, that's kind of like my biggest thing is that, not worrying about meeting the status quo and, being a popular kid and having so many friends, because of that, at one point I was that person and I tried to do those things and, I wasn't considered the weird kid, but, I wasn't considered, I got myself in a friend group and a position where people knew I was different, but they accepted me for who I was.
Okay.
So, I don't hang out with all of my friends like I always do, or like they always do. They always hang out with each other. I'm not always hanging out with them. I have other things to do, and they know that. They respect that.
So it's mostly just trying to tell, people, try something new, whether that's volunteering or getting out in the community, just basically to get more experiences under your belt so you can really find what you like to do and what you don't like to do, right?
You really find who you are. It's weird to see how classmates of mine evolved. Where in middle school they were, and there's especially a kid in my mind in particular that he was into partying, he was into doing drugs, this, that, the other thing, and then eventually he kind of realized that he had a soft spot for poetry and a soft spot for art, and he went from doing drugs, getting suspended, getting in trouble all the time, to now he's one of the best kids in school, and he's really helped find. He found who he was, and he found that it's okay to be sensitive, and it's okay to try different things. And I think that the only reason he found that out was because he bit the bullet. He said, I don't care about what you think. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to see what happens. And he did that. And now he's so much happier, and now his friends accept him for who he is. Yeah. So that's really my main thing, is that in high school there's a lot of judgments being thrown around, and really just don't think about it. If people can't accept what you're doing and respect what you're doing, then there's no reason for them to be in your life. There's no reason for you to consider what they're thinking at all.
That's great. Yeah. No, I think that's some great advice, and you obviously. But like I said, if we rewind all of this, you're doing so much anyway. Yes. Family business stuff, working in that, then to, video marketing and really on that end, to then starting this nonprofit, which I realize isn't completely a thing, and you're still kind of working on it. Yeah. But again, even just to have that concept to kind of really move forward with that and have really, because I know we didn't really specifically get into it because we're not dropping all these names, but you've told me that, you're working with a lot of known people in the community for this, which I'm sure will come out later. But again, it's in the planning phase, so we're not going to, go into all of that. But, that's a lot of notable things that you're already doing that I wanted a lot of people to kind of see what you're doing and just to kind of get up and to kind of add as a resource that if anyone is out there that can help out with this, or that just is general connections for you to try and inspire other young people to see the business world in Berks County. So that's really awesome. So where can they find you and send you a message and read more about you?
Really, I made my Facebook, I'm younger, so Facebook isn't necessarily my main source of social media to socialize with my friends. So I sort of made Facebook my, the business side of things. So you can watch me on Facebook. Just look up Gavin Milligan. You'll see a picture of my face. You can message me through there. That's really kind of like my main thing that I have people contact me through. You can message me whenever. I'll probably get to it as right away. But if not, give me a couple minutes. And but I really get out busy. I really get out to everybody because sometimes there's politicians that say, hey, I want to help you out with grants, I want to help you out with this.
Do they send you a message on Facebook, or how else do they get it? Okay.
The main way that I've connected to other people was through Facebook.
Cool.
So powerful individuals with really big net worths,
so they just
contact them on social media.
Search your name on Facebook.
Yeah,
then?
no,
Okay.
just search my name on Facebook, and that's really how you get in contact with anyone in the community. As unprofessional as it is,
well, not anymore.
not anymore.
Social media now, so
that's really it. Message me on Facebook.
Cool.
I'll get back to you.
Sounds good. Thanks for
Alrighty.
being on the show. The